It's not even gone live yet.
The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Hall of Fame, Hall of Blame, no opinions are the same. Lovely chocolate in the bin for the poll, who will win? Green soda wrestling, pimple dick ranting, air fryer Brussels sprouts, Maxi often cheats. Hey yo, let's start the show. CWF are set to go. Many movies I won't know, such a fiasco. Max v. Cy was pretty crap, probably won't go back to that. Max needs to wear a hat, and he sometimes cheats. Hogan is a liar, but Barry Windham is the
worst
thing. Hogan is a liar, hear all about it on Chain Wrestling.
Busted again.
The worst thing about that was, Maxie. Hey, yo, good evening, everyone. The first thing about that was, Maxie, I literally had a sip of my drink, a blast on my vape, and I was trying to waft the smoke away. And then just when I was about to say, hey, yo, I had a real bad gassy lemonade hiccup stuck in my throat. So I was literally, in my own ears, could hear my own throat going.
At least you could hear something then during the intro.
Yeah, a little bit, mate, a little bit. God damn, is it warm?
It is. It is.
Oh, dear me.
Absolutely glorious.
Yes, indeed. My hair is not slicked back with gel or mousse or hairspray. This is sweat, mate. I am soaking wet. I might as well have just got out of the shower. It is like so bad upstairs in my house in Gloucester today.
With that little tuft at the front, I thought you was going for the whole honky top man look.
I can't get that right, mate. It's just my headphones keep pushing it up. Let's see.
Yeah. In fact, push your headphones down and then push them forward quite a bit.
Like that.
And then go, I got long sideburns and my hair slicked back.
I'm a pink Cadillac. I'm just a honky tonk man. Look what you've done to my hair now, though. Look at the state of it. Look.
I mean, there's no improving that bastard.
That's grey, isn't it? Look at
that. You look like Cruella now.
Oh, yeah, I do, mate. I do. Oh, my word. It is so warm in this bedroom. Honestly, I am roasting. It is a glorious Sunday in Gloucester. Literally a sunny, sweaty Sunday. Yeah, live on a Sunday night, Max. I haven't done this for a while, have we?
It's almost like somebody's going on holiday tomorrow and they just wanted to get this out of the way.
Well, I can't do it from where I'm going. You know, I could potentially do a live show from where I'm going, but I'd be concerned about how their internet was, you know?
Yeah. And plus, no one wants to see you enjoying yourself.
No. Everyone seems, looking back over the last 150 plus episodes, the best feedback we have is when I'm actually quite cross or angry about something.
Yeah, I mean, that's because everybody just wants to see people suffer to make themselves feel better.
Yeah, well, I'm suffering, mate. I'm suffering. The front of my shirt could be wrung out right now. I've even got a little towel up here to wipe my face for the sweat. It is a warm day. But I love the warm, and the weather is forecast to be warm when I'm away. So hopefully it will hold up.
Yeah,
hopefully so, mate. Hopefully so. Yes. It's good to hear from you anyway, Mags. It's good to speak to you because you ignored me all weekend.
No, I didn't. You say this, and I've given you a perfectly adequate explanation. So, for context, we sort a lot of what's going on in the show out via WhatsApp. And Saya sent me some WhatsApp messages. He usually sends them in the middle of the night. because he's like a vampire or something. His best ideas come to him at 3 a.m.
I am
But-
at my most creative when it's dark and I am drunk.
Yeah, well, that does ring true. But he messaged me some ideas for the non-wrestling topic, and they didn't come through on my phone until earlier on this afternoon. So he's like, "What do you think of this idea? Hello, are you all right?" I said, "I'm fine. The messages have come through." Well, I was worried. You had me worried there. So
I was concerned.
I was very touched that you were bothered. I think you were only
Mm.
bothered because you didn't know whether we were going forward with that topic or not.
Well, yeah, by that point, I'd already put it out. I had to make a decision.
That is also true. I already knew about the topic beforehand.
Also, okay, so you didn't see the messages until after the topic went up.
Yeah, I'd set up the whole StreamYard page before.
So what did you think when you saw the non-wrestling topic had gone up and we hadn't spoken
I
about
actually
it? We were just
thought-
like, that motherfucker.
No, I thought, have we mentioned it before? Did we speak about this like last week? Either way, I thought it was a cracking idea.
Yeah, yes, indeed. It's going to be interesting. We've got some great responses from the non-wrestling topic, which is mastermind based. Those who are unaware of mastermind, which I'm sure most people are, it's all to do with their specialist subject. And Maxie, we had somebody apply for mastermind, which we'll get into in a little bit.
It's the most obvious member of the CWF when you think about it.
Yeah,
that person would have obviously applied to be a mastermind
and probably done quite well as well, to be fair.
Exactly.
Yeah, indeed. We have a huge wrestling match to discuss when you look at the talent that is in it. Pretty much every top star from the Attitude Era, and Rikishi is there too. And and of course, we have Hogan's Lies, Hall of Lane, all the usual nonsense here on a Sunday night. So yeah, let's close out the weekend, Magsy, with some chain wrestling bullshit, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's start the show.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live in SJP World Media Production, episode 159 now. I am Si. And with me, as always, is the Super Sunday to my sweaty, sweaty bum day, because it is, honestly, it's clammy down below. Look at him retching. Brilliant.
I threw up a little bit in my mouth then.
The Rikishi to my Riki, they or them, because you shouldn't make assumptions, remember, Magsy, in this modern world. A podcaster who ignored me all bloody weekend. Lord Mags. Oh dear, I'm dehydrating, I think, mate.
Well, I'm not, because I've spent a lot of this weekend in a hot tub with my missus.
In your hot tub.
Oh, it's been brilliant. It's been the best purchase I've ever made. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I timed it perfectly because we'd had horrific weather for most of the summer. And then we got the hot tub, and it's been glorious ever since. I think we've had one day of rain since we got it.
Okay.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
So you lie there in your hot tub, looking out across your farm.
All I survey, all my land, and I go, I've made it. I am king of the world.
There we go. Oh, Sharon in the chat has got a very good point, actually. What's going on there?
Oh,
either I watched the wrong show or the graphic isn't right.
We
got that. Unforgiven 99. We did that last time.
It's okay. We can change it. Let's see. Is it that one?
No, it's black now. It's just dark.
No, that's the same one, isn't it? I'm going to upload one. Last you still for time.
King Pig Splatters in the chat is saying he's realised he sent the wrong one. That's the half-finished one.
Well, good job. Magsy has a backup. He also set us a task of naming who was actually on that poster, but it's irrelevant now because it's not valid, so we don't need to find out.
There we go. And what an action shot that is. Rikishi getting thrown off the top of the cell, which we will come to, of course,
if
later.
He'd have farted, he'd have floated, wouldn't he? He'd have hovered in midair, yeah.
Or if he'd have farted after he landed, he'd just had a cloud of sawdust going.
And Rikishi floating back up on top of the cage.
Yeah. Shall we dive into the chat and scan through who has joined us on this Sunday evening?
Yes, let's. So first we've got King Pig Banners, who didn't provide the artwork for this week, but we love him still anyway. He says it's on nights like these that you that although the time it was amusing, Rikishi should have covered his humongous ass and worn trousers. Do you know, I never could get over the fact his ass was like orange peel. You know, with all those little bumps and grooves that you get on an
Pimples and
orange.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a very orange peel arse, did old Rikishi.
You wouldn't want to peel that orange, though, would you?
Well, I mean, it'd take a long while as well. It's like more like a grapefruit, really, isn't it? A huge, sweaty, shitty
Samoan grapefruit.
Yeah. Sharon says it's Sunday night. Who the fuck knows what that means? Sharon, it means that you go on your hollibobs tomorrow. One more sleep. I don't know if you do
one
that
more
down
sleep,
Gloucester.
indeed.
Do you do the one more sleeps?
What, to Christmas?
No, to like any big event. Oh, it's one more
for
sleep.
Christmas, I guess.
5 more sleeps until we go on holiday.
Yeah, well, no, not really. I don't know if the wife does. I don't. Like I said, you tend to hear it on the local radio stations and all that, and the build up to Christmas and so on. But
well, you joyless fuckers. Connor, our good friend from over the pond, says, hello, you sexy blokes. How are we doing on Texas Notes this fine Sunday? Well, you were pre-warned 6 days in advance that this would be happening. We like to keep you on your toes, make sure that you're paying attention to us. And also, Sar wanted the benefit of having been able to go on holiday. Well, so selfishness is a thing, isn't it?
It is.
Sharon also says, this is great for the listeners. I mean, it is. Yeah, I know it's great. I know you were trying to mock then, but this is actually listeners' gold. So don't.
Well, I was like, took my headphones off and got my hair out and everything. Yeah,
it adds to the listeners' enjoyment because they can guess what your hair looks like.
Yeah, they can use their own imagination. It's like that's the book version of the movie.
Yeah, it's the audio book version. It's the Kindle version. And King Pigman is laughing at Sharon, mocking our output. Glenn Abbott, hello, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Long time no see. He says, nice to see you guys. See you nice on a Sunday. Sharon says, it's either Sar watched the wrong match or the graphic. I hope we're now covering Unforgiven 99 and you have just no clue what you're fucking talking about. That'd be brilliant. But
there's no chance I could there's no chance I could wing that situation either by memory alone, because we all know how my memory works.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you could wing a squash match with Gilbert by memory alone. King Pigman says, just realised he sent the wrong bloody graphic and he sent it to my Mag's WhatsApp. What use is that? Because WhatsApp is on my phone and my phone isn't on my StreamYard. So I wouldn't be able to download it to the PC to put it up anyway. So you not only have you messed up with the graphics, you fucking messed up with sending it as. You should hang your head in shame, King Pig's Bladders. But then he says, and he sent it to Twitter as well. So I could technically get it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Who knows? It depends how long Sar talks during his Hall of Labour's pause. And Glenn says he squashed a lot of noses with that orange peel ass. You would hope, if you were taking the stink face, that it actually smelled of oranges. But I've got a feeling Rikishi ate like very smelly things. He ate a lot of like Brussels sprouts or mushy peas before he'd had to do a stink face, didn't he?
He had 3 sets of gear, apparently, the story goes. And one set of gear he would wash daily and make sure it was all clean. And another set of gear was pretty manky. And it would depend upon who he was wrestling as to how much he liked them or not, as to what set of gear he would wear.
Jesus Christ, you would want to be on his good side then, wouldn't you?
Oh,
can you imagine a skanky thong worn by Rikishi coming towards? Oh, no. Anyway, that's the chat I'll call up on.
Think of the possibilities of, like, the dangers from it as well, like pink eye and stuff like that. It's,
Yeah, facial herpes. Yeah.
Dear me. Oh, never mind. That's enough ass talk for now. I'm sure we'll come back to it. Magsy, shall we just dive on in then, I suppose? Hall of Lame fame?
Do you not want to speak about one of your wrestling heroes first, Lord?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. We should make a note. We should pass a comment about this, shouldn't we? With old Kevin Sullivan passing away. Yeah, very sad. Very influential guy in the business. Did a lot in the territory days, and then obviously in WCW when he was booking as well. Did a great deal there. Yeah, just a shame, really, isn't it? I mean, we know he'd been in ill health for a while. So yeah, I suppose it wasn't as big a shock as some other wrestling deaths, but at the same time, it is a big shame. This guy was Kevin Sullivan was responsible for some great TV angles. And I always think back as well the stories that he tells about the formation of the NWO and how people would try and change Hogan's mind in the build-up. So he made the effort to keep Hogan away from those people, to stop his head getting turned. He put Hogan up the night before Bash at the Beach. He drove him to the arena late so nobody could see him and all that sort of stuff. And again, you look at the influence going forward from his time in Florida, when he had his whole his culty black magic satanic kind of stable going there. I mean, basically the Ministry of Darkness with the Undertaker and all that stuff there was just a massive rip-off of stuff Sullivan was doing 2 decades earlier in Florida. It's it's a great loss. It's a great loss. And he's another guy who you don't hear bad stories about. Everyone who's met him, whether it's a fan or whether it's a fellow wrestler or whatever, they always talk positively of the guy and the influence he had on their career. So yeah, Kevin Sullivan passing, it's a shame, mate. It's a big loss, isn't it?
It's huger than you actually realize. Like you covered, the amount of people and storylines and even factions that were influenced by the work that he'd done is absolutely unreal. And whilst I wasn't a big watcher of WCW from the time he was involved in creative, you looking back on it, and his fingers are in absolutely everything. This guy was a creative genius. The amount of ideas that he churned out is absolutely unreal. And what blows me away the most is when I heard that he had no formal wrestling training whatsoever. He was literally self-taught. So for him to get where he was in the business, and he wasn't a huge guy, he wasn't a muscle guy. I think he was 5'6" at most.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So for him to get to where he was and the influence that he had, it's just a testament to his will and his ferocity in making a massive name for himself. And yeah, it's a absolute huge loss. And like you said, you never hear a bad word said about him. Whether you enjoyed his wrestling or you just thought he was absolutely batshit crazy, nobody had a bad word to say. So I think he's going to be massively missed in the wrestling business.
Tyler, who does shows for our network, Tyler Talks Music and Tyler's Takedowns and so on, and of course guests on In the Corner, really informative, clever, knowledgeable wrestling fan. He's met Kevin Sullivan a few different times.
Oh, wow.
He has done some work for CCW over in the States, whether it was ring announcing or I believe he took a bump in the ring at one point as the ring announcer. He got attacked by one of the wrestlers, which was quite a cool thing I've seen. But he also has done commentary for some of their shows. And Kevin Sullivan was his co-commentator for the whole duration of this particular show that he did.
Wow.
And he talked very highly about Sullivan and how Tyler said himself he was a bit nervous and Sullivan helped him through and so on. So yeah, it's even someone as close to us as Tyler is, being a big part of this network that promotes all these shows that we have, is just so open about how great Sullivan was on a personal level.
Yeah.
So it's it's a big loss. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah, rest in peace, Kevin Sullivan.
Indeed.
So, let's go on to Hall of Lame.
The Hall of
Lindsay, what you got for us?
So, strapping folks, we are going on a journey. This is quite a tale. So in modern wrestling, we've kind of grown accustomed to sponsorships when it comes to the graps. So from the days of Arco Pro, Slim Jims, to now where we've got Prime logos on the canvas. Sponsorship deals have become pretty much ingrained in the world of wrestling. And usually they're pretty easy to ignore if that's not your thing. You'll get a graphic on the screen for a couple of seconds. The commentary team will repeat a pre-written promo, or you'll get the pay-per-view poster with the company's logo emblazoned all over it. But in recent years, these wrestling sponsorship tie-ins have become a bigger part of the actual programming, to the point where the in-ring work is influenced or even involves the sponsor. And one of the more blatant and in-your-face examples of this came from the 2021 Survivor.
It's not for the evening.
Yeah, and it's not a Monday, so it definitely
No,
must be
it's
you.
not. Yeah, it must be. It must be. You got your fisherman's friends though, the Mags, you said, haven't you?
I have, yes. Fisherman's Friends, the worst flavour because I am tough.
Hardcore. Yeah. None of this pussy Terry shit for you. Proper fisherman's friends.
So anyway, let's get back to the story. Survivor Series 2021. It was sponsored by the Netflix movie Red Notice. Red Notice starred The Rock, and it was kind of like a heist / Tomb Raider-ish style movie. And the promotion involvement actually started at the kickoff show, which had a segment with Vince McMahon turning up to the arena in a limo, and there's a huge crowd of WWE superstars. He gets out of the vehicle holding this giant golden egg, and the wrestlers start chanting, "Egg, egg, egg." Vince holds the jewel trinket aloft, and he even in a funny little part of this segment smacks away Reggie's hand when Reggie goes to touch the egg. So next we see the tribal chief. He's turning up to Vince McMahon's office, and Vince is showing off the egg to Roman, and the egg is now sat in a glass display case on the desk. And Vince explains to Roman that this egg was actually Cleopatra's egg, and it's not one used for the movie. This is the real Cleopatra's egg, and it was gifted to him by Roman's cousin, The Rock. And he goes on to talk about The Rock debuting 25 years earlier at Survivor Series, and that he'd arrived in the company with just $7. And he also said the egg was worth $100 million. Roman says, well, that's as much as my next contract, before Roman leaves the office. So we go further into the show, and then we go back to Vince's office, and you see the core general managers, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. They sat at Vince's desk, and they're really crowing about how well Survivor Series 2021 is going. Vince enters from a side door, presumably because he's just had a prostate-related piss break. And he notices that the egg has gone missing from his display case. Instantly believes that this egg has been stolen, and he orders Sonya Deville to go and call the cops, and then tells Adam that the culprit could be the security guard outside his door, one of the slimy production members, or one of the WWE superstars. Adam Pearce says it is probably one of the wrestlers, and Vince says not just probably, it's almost definitely one of these wrestlers. And he also blames Brooklyn, which was the whole city, because people in Brooklyn are clearly thieving bastards.
Known for their egg collections as well.
Yeah, they love eggs in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's what
Vince tells Adam he has to go and quiz all the talent and find the egg before the end of the night. And then he does a little bit of foreshadowing by saying that if it isn't found by the end of Survivor Series, Vince will get to the bottom of the situation the very next night on Raw. So we jump to Raw the very next night, and the show opens with Vince in his office, and he's staring at this empty display case. Sonia and Adam are both sat there looking all sheepish, and Vince questions him about where the egg's gone, and there's been absolutely no progress in finding the culprit. Vince repeats that this is Cleopatra's egg, that The Rock gave it to him, that The Rock had $7 in his pocket and it's worth $100 million. Sonia and Adam explain that they've interviewed all of the wrestlers, brought in the police, and even conducted a search of the arena, but nobody knows anything. So Vince tells the pair that if they don't retrieve the egg, that they are fired. And in a panic, the GMs suddenly reveal that there is some blurry CCTV footage that shows the thief, and that he or she had a bare chest and shaved legs. This leads Vince to instantly think that it must be a woman. Vince then offers them a very big reward. He says whoever brings him the culprit gets a title shot tonight on Raw. So later in the show, we go backstage, and the superstars are absolutely destroying the backstage area. Rhea Ripley's throwing bags around, pushing over tables. The Viking Raiders are absolutely destroying the gaff. And R-Truth thinks he's found the golden egg when he holds up an American football. R-Truth then runs through a door in the back, only for it to be the ladies' bathroom. He's pelted with toilet rolls and slams the door shut, screaming that the egg is not in there. We then cut to Vince's office again. Sami Zayn, in his conspiracy theorist story arc, he's talking to Vince in his office, and Sami confirms with Vince that whoever brings the culprit will get a title shot against Big E. So Vince says, "Yep, that's correct." So Sami says he knows who the culprit is. Vince says, "Bring that criminal to me." But Sami says he hasn't arrived yet. But as soon as he's at the arena, Sami's going to grab him, and they will come to claim his reward. So we go back to Vince's office later in the show, and Sonya Deville is very excited, and she tells Vince that Sami has found the felon. Vince is very happy with Sami, and Sami reveals that the culprit was no one other than Austin Theory. Austin Theory walks into the office looking very, very worried, looking very, very guilty, holding this huge golden egg in front of him. Vince dismisses the general managers, and he demands an explanation from Austin Theory. Austin said he knew how valuable the egg was, and he just wanted to get a selfie with the egg. But the security guards scared him, and he ran back to his hotel with this egg. Vince demands proof of this story, and Austin shows him the selfie. All the while, in the background, Sami is saying, "This story is full of holes, and this selfie is ridiculous." Vince then says, Austin, he took a huge risk stealing this egg. He ran afoul of the law, but Vince is going to drop the charges. Now, Sami is distraught. Why would you do this, Vince? And Vince says it's because Austin Theory reminds him of himself. He then decides to award the title match to Austin Theory. Now, Sami is fuming at this. He's going out of his mind. He just doesn't understand what's going on. Vince then tells Sami to shut up and that nobody likes a snitch. So Austin Theory stole an egg and got rewarded with a title shot. And so ends the saga of the missing Cleopatra egg. But the big kicker of all this story was that the movie Red Notice starred former WWE superstar The Rock and he played absolutely no part whatsoever in this promotional shit show. So my entry this week is WWE and the ridiculous Red Notice promo.
I just don't understand what they were trying to achieve. I don't get it.
And it's spread over 2 shows as well.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
A pay-per-view and a Raw, yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I don't get it at all. It makes zero sense. And when you were explaining it, little bits of it did ring a bell with me. But I think I've tried to, either I didn't watch it first time round because, let's be honest, a lot of the modern products I think are shite. Or I've intentionally just wiped it from my mind.
Just like King Pigsbatter said, Vince's sticky fingers were all over that pile of shit. So bad, I'd erased it from my mind intentionally.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That is awful and just a complete waste of everybody's time, isn't it? Let's be honest. A complete waste.
So many promos, so much time in Vince's office. And it was just a shower of shit. Absolute shower of shit.
I wonder where the egg is now.
It's probably in that massive warehouse that WWE have, where they store like the giant SmackDown fist and the hooks from the Backlash events. Yeah, it was just a stupid prop. I bet it weren't even real gold.
Walk around that warehouse.
Yeah, the amount of title belts they've got there as well, all the different versions and stuff.
Just in a chest on the floor, innit?
Yeah, be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
It would.
But anyway, shitty Red Notice, and the film's crap.
I've not seen it. What a surprise! Absolutely no one to know that. Oh dear, Magsy. I would like to talk about tag teams for my entrant into the Hall of Lame this week, or more so, when tag teams split up.
Ooh.
Now, we tend to find that the saying is this individual is the Shawn Michaels to the Marty Jannetty of the tag team. They're the ones that are always used as the comparison. One guy tends to do quite, or girl tends to do quite well, whereas the other maybe not so much. There's very rarely been a tag team that's split up and both competitors have gone on to do good things. Has there?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. Yeah.
No, nor me. And also, splitting up really great established tag teams does tend to just lead to shite. I mean, even teams as brilliant as the Road Warriors, when Hawk got off to Japan and had a different partner for a while, when then Hawk passed away and Animal had Heidenreich as a partner for a while, it's just crap. Not a good time at all. I would like to head back to 2002 for my entrant into this week's Hall of Lame. And I would like to take a little look at one of the most decorated tag teams of all time. But they've kind of ran their course at this point. Pigs Butters in the chat have a great show. Edge and Christian, they split up and went on to do good things. Both of them. Yeah, that's a great show.
I mean, they did. But Christians came because of Edge retiring. And he deserved it. Don't get me wrong. He absolutely deserved it. But Edge was always the bigger star in that tag team.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. This is the era of a draft. People, rosters are getting split for Raw and SmackDown and so on. And in the same sort of era, I suppose, you say Edge and Christian, people think of the Hardys, people think of the Dudley Boys, and that's where I'm going, Magsy. That hand signal there is exactly right. The Dudleys got parted, mate. They split up. They parted ways. Devon was drafted to SmackDown. Bubba Ray stayed on Raw. And we ended up with effectively a complete gimmick change for Devon. Whereas Bubba Ray ended up just playing a singles version of his tag team character. I mean, he found his feet very much in TNA as the head of Aces and Eights and all. That was a great time for him as a singles wrestler. But in WWE, it did not work for either of these guys. But what I really want to point the finger at is what Devon did on the Blue brand. Now, Devon disappeared from the Raw draft, reappeared on SmackDown only a week or so later, and in that time, he had found God.
And been ordained. He not only found God, he'd done all the tests to become.
Yeah, and he was Reverend Devon, complete with dog collar and so on. And Interestingly enough, when he wrestled, the sleeves cut off his church-going attire, like some kind of weird religious stripogram. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he had some aspects of the character which, you look back now and you think, okay, I can see what they were trying to do, because we had the whole Deacon Batista, future world champion, soon to be Hall of Famer, etc., etc. Dave Batista was his sidekick. That's how he got his debut on the main roster, carrying a collection plate for for Reverend Devon.
And he was
dear
the
me.
most evil-looking priest in the history of the world.
Yes, it was. Every night Devon would appear, he would chastise the local sinners for various issues that they had, whether it was overeating, whether it was laziness, whether it was lusting after, the opposite sex or whatever. But one particular night stands out. This is in Horseman country, no less. So a place that's, used to high quality professional wrestling. The Reverend Devon comes out and says, and I quote, "Greenville, South Carolina, I've come to help you. I've come to address your problems. Tonight's sermon has to do with masturbation. Oh, testify," he says. This is a wrestling show, mind. Oh, testify, Devon says. "You see, masturbation, that's a sin. Oh, that's a sin. And each and every one of you masturbators will burn in hell." This already sounds like it should just have its own section of the Hall of Fame. It's that horrific. But it gets a bit worse, Magsy. Because, as is with all heel promos that are worth their salt, a babyface comes down to defend the local arena, defend the local fans.
Defend the wankers.
Defend the wankers. And on this particular evening, we had Farouk enter the ring and declare to Devon, after talking to him about running down the good people of the particularly wrist strong good people of Greenville, South Carolina.
The wonky papas.
That's exactly right. Farouk apparently says, "Oh, so you don't masturbate anymore, Devon?" Which is an odd way to start any wrestling promo in my mind. Well, guess what, man? Farouk continues. "I do. And Reverend, I'm about to get real sinful on your ass." I don't really know what that means, but yeah. The gimmick, thankfully, did not last very long. And by the time we hit Survivor Series 2002 in the November, Devon is back in the camouflage and assisting his brothers Spike and Bubba Ray in a tag match at the fantastic Survivor Series 2002 pay-per-view. But yes, that sort of maybe 6-month run as Reverend Devon and chastising the masturbators of Greenville, South Carolina, is my entrance into this week's Hall of Fame, Magsy.
Jesus, the revelation that Ron Simmons likes to choke the monkey. That's the best thing that came out of this. You can take multiple world champion Dave Batista out of the picture, understanding that Farouk likes to crack off a few knuckle children of a day is just, it's knowledge that we all needed.
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? And the fact that this is a wrestling show, there's kids in the audience, and you've got a guy dressed as a priest or a vicar or reverend calling them all sinners because they masturbate. It's just Vince McMahon was loving this, wasn't he?
I can't see how this failed. How did WWE drop the ball with a wank-hating priest?
Well, 2002 SmackDown, Hogan had his undisputed title run around that time, didn't he? That's where they went wrong. Devon should have been the guy to dethrone Hulk Hogan.
And you could have ended the storyline with GTV catching Reverend Devon bashing one out backstage.
Yeah. And Farouk could have confronted him.
Could have caught it.
No. No, stop it.
Devon!
Stop it.
That's not whipped cream.
Oh, for goodness sake. Those are your entries into this week's Chain Wrestling Hall of Fame. We have Austin Theory, Vince McMahon, and some golden egg
Oh.
fucking bullshit. Or we have the Reverend Devon, wanking, and Farouk. Shall we dive through the chat magazine and see what people say?
Oh, that may be the best entry into the Hall. How is that not got into the Hall of Fame before now? That is absolutely amazing.
I don't know.
So let's start with Dan Griffin turning up in the chat late.
Mate.
He says, "Evening, folks. Sorry I'm late. How are we all doing? We're having a fucking whale of a time. Just thinking of Ron Simmons spanking the monkey. It's absolutely amazing." King Pig's Banner says, "Hey, Dan." Connor says, "Brother Devon into the Hall of Fame. I thought this was already in the Hall of Fame." Yeah, I mean, I am shocked that something this ridiculous has 159 episodes and it's not made it in. Amazing.
It may well have been in the Hall of Fame already, but the bit with the masturbating Farouk was not.
that is chef's kiss. Absolutely brilliant. Dan Griffin says, "Reverend Devon, but that shit brought us Deacon Batista." Dan says, "Being the most evil looking priest is an achievement given what a lot of actual priests get up to. And it certainly isn't chastising people for masturbating. It's probably more encouraging it. I would have thought."
Let's move on.
Glenn Abbott says, "It just gets better and better." Yeah, this is brilliant. I genuinely can't stop laughing at this one. It's so good. King Pig's Banner says, "The Shield, although it was a faction, and Roman was the favorite, all hugely successful."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it works, I suppose. Yeah. 3 absolute massive talents come out of that. 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, if Moxley ever makes it back to WWE. Dan Griffin says, "Devon, you go out there and talk about how cranking it is bad. Take that god shit and talk about jerking off. It'll be such good shit, pal." Whilst Vince was masturbating, I guarantee he was masturbating while saying that. Greenville, South Carolina, the repetitive strain injury capital of the world. And Dan then says, "Farouk was going to hit a different 5-knuckle shuffle on the Reverend." Oh my God. Saying that he's going to do a wank over his ass as well. Ridiculous.
I don't know what the hell that promo was about, mate. It's just every time you look at it, it's more and more worse.
Oh my brother. Testify, says King Pig's Banners. Glenn Abbott says, "Farouk is a wanker. That's just too much information." And Dan says, "If Devon was going after wankers, he may as well have gone after the biggest one in Hulk Hogan." Exactly.
Yeah.
GTV, the one where Farouk gets a face full of preacher population base. Oh, God. Joining just at the right time, Cam Griffin. "Hey, how are you, sir?"
Hello, mate.
Absolutely
Oh, for
drenched
goodness
in
sake.
bollock yogurt. Oh, good God. Connor says, "You can say we're having a wank of a time." Well, you keep that to yourself, Connor. None of us, look, both my hands are here. I am definitely not partaking at this time. It is a sin. I agree with Reverend Devon. Dan Griffin then says, "What's the difference between the priest and acne? Acne waits until you're a teenager to come all over your face." Oh, good Lord. Why do we have to go down the nonsense route every week?
You're all right till Dan turned up.
Yeah, it's not me this time. Just putting it out there. I am innocent of this.
Yeah, indeed. Oh dear. Shall we get on with our non-wrestling topic magazine and try and swiftly move on before this descends into more craziness?
Let's do it.
NWT time. Oh! No wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely.
Nice. Lovely. Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
So then.
Wanky Farouk. Brilliant.
Wanky Farouk. I wonder if there's a t-shirt in that. No, there's not. No.
Damn. I bet he damned at the end of it.
I bet
when
he
he's
did.
on the vinegar strokes. And, oh, damn!
Oh dear. Your I'll say your specialist subjects. That's not right at all. What am I on about? Your non-wrestling topic this week was specialist subjects, or more so, specialist subjects that you would put forward if you were on Mastermind, or if you felt you had an idea to back this up. What do you think other members of the CWF would have as their specialist subjects? This could be very, very interesting indeed. I will read them out, Magsy, in the order they came into us, kind of roughly, depending on how I screenshotted them. The one I have first is not the one you have first, so I apologise right away. The one I have first is our good friend Connor, at Connor Knows Footy on Twitter. And he says, my subject would be football, because I talk about it a lot, watch it in my free time, and I talk about it on the Volley Show every week during the season.
That's a great mastermind topic to have. I mean, it's a broad one. I mean, you might want to narrow it down to like a little section that you can focus on, but yeah, there's not wrong with having football as your topic.
There you go. Millwall Chris, at Millwall Chris 1 on Twitter, he says, Magsy's specialist subject would definitely be bubbly chocolate since the 1970s, and Scottish juggalos would be greatest knife crimes of the 20th century.
That's a banging one.
That's a blast from the past.
That's a Maidstone stabber.
Yeah, that's a reference from way back when, Magsy, eh?
It is.
Dear me. Ranty Ben, at Largely Speaking on Twitter, my co-host on Nitro Nights, he says, and this one I find very interesting, Mags, I genuinely applied for Mastermind once. You have to pick 4 subjects. So he picked squad numbers of Premier League teams in the 95-96 season, Thunderbirds, the TV series Yes Minister, or Royal Rumble matches of the 2000s.
Okay.
He did not get invited on, he says.
The wankers. The Farouks. The absolute Farouks.
The absolute Farouks. What a gang of Farouks. Royal Rumble matches of the 2000s. Oh, bloody hell. See, I'm all right until you get sort of like the middle of the decade. And they all kind of blend into one for me.
I mean, I loves me a Royal Rumble. So
yeah.
I bet I'd be pretty... I mean, I can't say that I'll be good at it because we've done Mags v Sar, and it clearly proved that we were shit at wrestling general knowledge. So no, I wouldn't have done well. But I would have liked to watch all of them for research.
Yeah, we were shit though, weren't
we? We
were rubbish. We were rubbish at everything. Our good friend Jimmy Evans, at Jimmy Evans for real. As always, a man of few words, very much straight to the point, and we love Jimmy for this. Jimmy says, quite simply, masterminds. So I'm confused.
I think he means by this that his topic would be the show masterminds, all of the topics that people have covered, and the winners.
So his specialist subject on Mastermind would be previous episodes of Mastermind.
Yeah. Or previous topics.
Like, previous topics.
Yeah, just what everyone else chose as their topic.
Like in 1987, Glennis from Stoke-on-Trent chose what? And exactly. Jimmy would answer, I don't know, crystal meth or something. I don't know. You know,
she chose to come on this shower of a shit of a show.
Matt Butler, at Trey Butler on Twitter, he says, I'm a leading authority on Father Ted, so that would be my specialist subject. Okay.
Good topic. I mean,
yeah.
Again, another one that's very limited in scope, so there's not got a lot to have to research.
Yeah, I like Father Ted, but I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it in order or anything like that. I've only caught like the odd episode here and there.
I probably have watched more clips of it than I have full episodes.
Okay. He died very young, didn't he?
Who, Ted or?
Yeah, the guy who played Ted. Yeah.
Is it? I didn't even know he was dead. That's sad.
Yeah, he's been dead a while. Yeah, I think that's why they had to stop making it, Maxie, because his acting.
He was just not around.
Yeah, in a big way. His scenes after the fact, after he died, were incredibly wooden. Millwall Chris again. He says here,
Amazing.
I think I'd choose CWF wrestling meetups circa 2022 to present day as my specialist subject.
I mean, that's brave because the amount of alcohol consumed on those meetups,
Mm.
it's not really good for remembering things.
No. He also said that he'd struggle if the topic of the women's Royal Rumble came up, because that's when he had a tactical sleep on the table.
A tactical sleep during the show that you're there to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Our great friend at Pigs Bladders on Twitter. He says, taking inspiration from Largely Speaking, Ben, and his 4 picks, here's mine in preference order. The Songs of Family Guy,
Great
The
pick.
Life and Times of Peter Stringfellow.
Wow.
Oh dear. The Sexual Habits of the Common Housefly, or Cheese Rolling Champions 1990 to 1999.
I pull you on that one. I want you to list in the chat all of the cheese rolling champions between those years. And you can't Google, you can't do a poll because we'll know. Start listing them. Yeah. So start listing.
Yeah.
But the Songs of Family Guy, that's a brilliant one. I could just imagine King Pigsman sat in the black leather chair singing Shapoopa, or she's just a prom night dumpster baby. It'd be brilliant.
Oh, it would indeed. Dan Griffin at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter. He says, Doctor Who 2005 till present day, Kane matches, or methods of death in the Saw franchise, or quite simply poo and fart jokes.
His proper specialist subject, poo and fart jokes.
Yeah, poo and fart jokes. It's got to be on it. It's got to be. Kane matches. That would be quite a broad scope as well, wouldn't it? Because he was around for a good old while.
And he's not had that many good ones, so you'd have to watch a lot of shit.
Ooh. There must be fighting words, Maxie. Words I kind of agree with, but they still be fighting words.
What a one-dimensional character Kane was.
Well, yeah, the whole thing was that he was burnt, and then they took a mask off and he wasn't burnt. It was like, what was that all about?
Oh, they were emotional scars. But then if they're emotional scars, why are you wearing a mask?
Yeah. This is true.
And
now he's a
his
fucking
parents
asshole
didn't die in a fire because his dad was actually Paul Bearer. So it was mourning a parent that didn't actually die. And Paul let him believe that his parents had died just so he could get his revenge on Undertaker. So his dad's a bit of a wanker as well. His dad's a Farouk.
His dad's a Farouk. At Yalmore Right on Twitter, he says here, my chosen subjects would be Alan Partridge, used to be obsessed, and school days were quotes galore from that show. And always a go-to watch now. Or The Smiths. Not much of a fan now. Morrissey is a bellend, but used to listen to them all the time as a teenager. Posters, the lot. You used to listen to your posters.
I mean, Morrissey is not just a bellend. He's always been a bellend. Even in the Smiths, he was a bellend. It's just that he made great music at the time. It's only now people think he's a bellend because his music's shat and way too political. And he's a pillock.
I don't think I could tell you a single Smith song.
What? Really?
I don't think so.
So, This Charming Man. I mean, the song from Sky Sports is a Smith song.
Oh, Alive and Kicking.
Fuck you. That's from... No, you're a dick. You are a dick.
Glenn Abbott at GA WrestleNut on Twitter. He says, the look of disappointment in your face then was glorious. I love that so much. He says, it would probably be the Sherlock Holmes novels from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Okay.
I mean, there's been a lot and they're very long, but if you could nail that, that would be an episode that I'd love to watch, Glenn.
How many is there then?
What episodes?
No, how many books? Sherlock Holmes books?
I don't know off the top of my head, but let's have a quick
Well,
look.
why don't you know, Max? Why don't you know?
Why don't you know? You're asking the fucking question.
Bloody hell! All right, someone's getting fiery on the Sunday, aren't they?
Jesus Christ. There is 4. It says so. There's 9 on the Google front page, and then it says 42 more. So there's 51.
Why? Okay.
Like some of them might be like collections and things like that, but there's a lot of
A
books.
lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah. And they made them all into like movies and that as well, didn't they?
Well, not all of them. If
No.
there's not been 51 Sherlock Holmes movies.
Okay, but there was like a TV show that ran for quite a while.
But it ran for like 5 seasons, and each season was one story.
No, I'm not meaning Sherlock with old Bendy Dick. Come on, you bitch, whatever his name is.
Well, that's the only Sherlock that I recognise.
No, there's a Sherlock Holmes program from like the 80s, and there was also a series of black and white movies from like the 50s.
Yeah, well, they're all pillocks.
Or 40s.
No, I don't.
They're all pillocks, are they?
They're non-canon to me.
Is that right? They're all pillocks. Fucking hell. If you made TV in the 80s, you're just a pillock.
I mean, yeah, look at what we got from it. What good came from the 80s? Doctor Who. And that's it.
Quantum Leap.
Is it good? Or are you just wearing rose-coloured glasses?
Yeah, no, Quantum Leap's good. There was loads of good TV in the 80s, you knob. The A-Team was in the 80s.
Thundercats. Probably that's it.
So Thundercats, and that's it, is it? Thundercats and Doctor Who, and that's it.
I mean, Doctor Who's on the edge.
Yeah, 80s Doctor Who's a bit wobbly at times, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
like literally a bit wobbly. The sets move and everything.
Yeah, and the stars, you can clearly tell they've got shoes on underneath the costumes because you can see them. Aliens wearing shoes.
Yeah, exactly. The Cybermen once had a pair of boots that looked exactly like my wife's boots, sprayed silver. I'm not even joking. They were like just the exact same boots. There we go. Steve-O at EliteFBL_Steve-O. He says, funnily enough, it was featured on Mastermind. His subject would be extras. I'd argue, though, that half the questions on the show have nothing to do with the show in itself. Certainly The Office, or anything Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais have co-written together, barring Cemetery Junction. Bloody awful. I have never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a movie. I don't think I've seen it, but I'm sure Ricky might be a ghost in it, if I'm thinking of the right one. Or I might not be, but yeah. I don't... Okay. It doesn't sound like a good film. It's not reviewed very well. Yeah.
Okay. Right. I quite like the stuff they've done together. I enjoy extras. I like The Office. You know, I wouldn't know enough about it. Yeah. Yeah, but Steve-O is an expert on these things. He watches it so much, doesn't he? He knows so much about it.
He's religious. He knows things about The Office and extras that even Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant don't know.
Yeah, probably. Probably. Steve-O has a few suggestions for other members of the CWF as well. He says UTT Rob would definitely be wrestling, and that's all wrestling, he says.
That's fair.
Bang Bang Andy would be WWE history. Dan Griffin, Steve-O thinks would be the inner working of retail.
What a Faruqi topic Dan Griffin got bummed out with there.
He did, didn't he? At Scottish Juggalo, Danny, he would have 2006 WWE. I would say potentially the life and times of the Basham brothers as well, because he was such a big mark for them. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, they had a fucking terrible tag team scene back then, didn't they? My word. SmackDown was ropey as hell back then.
It was horrific.
Apparently, mine, according to Steve-O, would be the band Motorhead, which, yeah, okay, maybe. I mean, there's other bands I probably would put forward before Motorhead, but yeah, Motorhead I'm a big fan of, so potentially. And yours, Magsy, would be the Attitude Era, according to Steve-O.
I'm happy with that. I think I would be the preeminent expert of all things Attitude Era.
Interesting. Okie doke. And Steve-O also says our good friend Morty would potentially, he says it looks like Torchwood would be his subject because he's doing another rewatch of Torchwood and tweeting about it and so on. Been nagging me to watch it, Max.
Tell him
In
to
fact, I'm
fuck
going to
off.
take now. Hey?
Tell him to fuck off.
Tell him to fuck off. Him and Dan Griffin have been asking me to watch Torchwood. It's Doctor Who spin-off. It's over 20 years old and I still haven't seen it. And they keep going on and on me to watch it. So a week or two ago, I said, okay, I'm going to watch the first episode or two. And I did. And then they both messaged me to say what were my thoughts. And my response was, there's a character called Captain Jack. My response was, why does Captain Jack wear a belt and suspenders? That seems overkill.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently,
he's a pretentious tosser.
Apparently, that was a ridiculous summarization of what the show. They said there'd been 20 years it's been on there, and that's what I take away from it. So I don't know what to tell you.
I've never ever. I know of Captain Jack. That was is it John Barrowman, the actor?
That's it, yeah.
But yeah, I can't say I've ever watched an episode of Torchwood.
Okay.
Just standard Doctor Who is enough. You don't need any spin-off. The story's intricate enough as it is. You're just adding more Faruqi to the fire.
More Faruqi to the fire. Okay. The episodes I watched, I did actually enjoy. It was done very well. And it is a little bit more of a grown-up kind of version of Doctor Who, I suppose. It's aimed at a little bit more mature individuals. So I don't know why I'd watch it if it's mature individuals.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, that's not for you then.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. And Steve-O finishes up with saying he'd also put forward the bill, but that's more of a @wasp_1971 specialist subject, who I think has a bill podcast himself.
Okay. I mean, I think Steve-O would do very well with the bill.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon. And finally, we have Mr. Matt Lewis, who sent his via WhatsApp, Magsy, so you'll be able to find it on the Twitter.
Because he has to.
Because he likes to be different. I love you, Matt. He says, if I was to be on Mastermind, I would definitely choose WWE. Attitude Era to present day. Mags has seen firsthand at how I could do at this when we did a podcast quiz back in lockdown together. As for the rest of the CWF, I've got a few. Hope you like. Pig's Butters, History of Photoshopping. Connor, Football's Handsomest Players. Graham, Pickles in Everything. The history of pickles would be such a subject.
Or disco. And White's a wasting wank of time.
Let's not go down that road again. We know your opinions on it. I'm intrigued. The jury's still out. Let's just leave it at that.
No. It's shit.
Sharon would be being a badass author.
Dan what a brown nose Matt Lewis is.
I completely misread this as well, by the way. First of all, UTT Rob, his would be Tank Abbott, Matt Lewis says. Another shout for you, Magsy, bubbly chocolate, he says would be your specialist subject.
And the horse you rode in on.
Mine would be alternative words for nonce, apparently. I think that's quite a small selection there. There's only that many.
You're not going to get into double figures with your answers.
You're not. But the one that got me the most was the one that Matt Lewis put for Dan Griffin. And his says, why am I a sexual gladiator? However, at quick glance, in the middle of all this text, I read Dan Griffin's specialist subject should be, according to Matt Lewis, why am I a sexual predator?
I mean, both work, to be fair.
Do they really, yeah? Do they really?
Dan,
that's all I got.
Are you a gladiator or a predator? Tell us in the chat.
Or are you a predator who dresses as a gladiator?
Or
is Russell Crowe a predator?
Or were you a predator to Ulrika Johnson while she was filming Gladiators?
Yeah.
Or John Fashanu.
Backstage.
Were you predatoring John Fashanu?
Yeah, trying to avoid Wolf and getting beaten up backstage so he can peek in on John Fashanu having a good old Farouk. You know, awooga.
Oh, one eye cross eye. Awooga.
What are you doing with that pugil stick? Oh dear. Okay, Magsy, that's all I've got
Predators.
for
Oh, you ready?
that. You will, children, you will go on
Oh,
my first whistle. Priests,
Farouk,
you will go.
you will go on the second whistle. Oh, God.
3, 2, 1.
Awooga!
Awooga. Maxie,
Oh, Jesus
uh,
wept.
what about you, mate? What would yours be?
Definitely not Predators of the gladiator era. I think a lot of mine have been nailed by the good
Yeah.
folks of the CWF. My hatred of bubbly chocolate, that would definitely be something that I'd be able to pull off. Attitude Era Wrestling, maybe the books of Dan Brown. But yeah, I think that's it.
Who's Dan Brown?
Get fucked. He's the guy who wrote the Da Vinci Code.
Okay, I know the Da Vinci Code.
Have you read the book?
I've watched the film.
That's not the same. It's not the same at all.
Well, obviously, it's not the same thing, but surely me having seen a film is quite a step.
That is shocking. That is actually shocking.
Yeah. And there's another one, isn't there? There's like a sequel to it. What was that called?
Well, actually, no. The sequel you're thinking of is Angels and Demons, but that is actually in the timeline of the books that comes before the Da Vinci Code. And there's also Inferno. That's another one. The film timeline is totally not in line with the book timeline.
Why do they do that? That sort of thing pisses me off.
I think it's just because everybody knew the Da Vinci Code. That was like a massive thing when that book came out. And then
it was prequels in general. Prequels in general. It's like you get these prequels now, or what are they called? Like the stories of how somebody became this particular individual.
Like origin story.
That's it. Origin stories. Yeah. But when you watch the later films, you know that fucker dies. So why are you going to be interested?
I mean, people like to have a bit of like to have the characters fleshed out, I suppose, and understand why that character is the way that they are. Like, why are you the way that you are? Because you don't read books and watch films.
I've read books. That's like you, I know.
With no pictures in.
Well, mine tend to be. I've not read a book in a little while. I'm not going to lie.
Those tend to be pamphlets. Flyers. Like, Domino's are doing a deal where you get a pizza for a tenner, Shah.
The problem pages in the Daily Sport, that kind of thing. It's
Chip, says Cam. Exactly. I guarantee Science read Biff and Chip.
I don't know what that is.
It's a bunch of kids' books that you used to get in school. Yeah.
No, I don't know what that is. No. We used to get like the Dandy and the Beano.
That's a comic.
Yeah. No, I used to get the book as well.
The annual.
Yeah.
At Christmas. I mean, it's technically reading.
Of course, it's technically reading. There's words on a page, and you're looking at the fucking words, aren't you?
You're looking at the pictures, though, aren't you? The words might as well not be there.
Well, no, because the pictures don't make sense without the little speech bubbles.
Anyway, the moral of the story is, whilst you're on holiday next week, read some Dan Brown books.
I'm probably not going to do that.
I know you're not. You would never ever read those books. I think there's 7 that is raw altogether. I bet you don't read any.
Oh, that seems like a big commitment, you know.
Sar's still not read my book.
Mate, I've read a lot of it. I have, and I've read her other book as well.
I bet you didn't repeat what you said pre-recording about.
What's that?
You fucking know what it was. You know what it was.
I don't want to get involved in packing stuff up for holiday. I will be in the way. It's simple as that. I've read autobiographies as well. I quite like an autobiography.
I mean, that's really good.
Yeah, there's not that many pictures in them.
Well, they tend to have a lot of pictures. They tend to have a lot of pictures in the middle, like of things that have happened during their life. So they do have pictures, don't they?
breaks it up a little bit for you, I suppose, doesn't
Yeah, it's like a rest for your little brain.
it? Go step by step. My specialist subject, I would fancy my chances on Iron Maiden, to be honest. Even though I don't listen to them anywhere near as much as I used to. When I was a kid, I was fanatical about them, and those facts just kind of stuck in my head.
Stay in your brain. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that'd be the one I would go with. Even though I listen to Motorhead and Wasp and DC a lot more, Maiden would probably be the ones, I think. Yeah, I think so. Or even United in the 90s or something like that would be a big thing as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sounds like a fun episode if that were to ever happen. Apply for it. Apply for Mastermind next.
You want me?
year.
Shall I apply for Mastermind? See what happens. See if I get
On
one.
behalf
You
of
got-
the CWF.
According to Ben, though, you got about 4 specialist subjects. I've only got 2.
Well, you've had some pitch for you. Just chuck them in.
Alternative words for nonces.
Yeah, that could be your last one. In case the other 3 have been used before, that's
Yeah.
emergency
That's my
pitch.
safety option. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
That's the one
Shall we
you're
dive?
most confident about.
The one I'm most confident about. Shall we dive through the chat, Magsy, and see what people are saying?
We will go. Oh, we've read that. Farouk is a wanker. Too much information. I think we've read that. We've read about bollock yogurt. That's amazing. Cam Griffin. He's in recovery after an op. Shouldn't have tuned in now as I can't really laugh. And then Dan says, sorry, folks, I'm traumatized as Cam has shown me a picture of his post-surgery bruising. And he says, my bollocks are like one big purple grapefruit. Oh, man, I've just shrunk in. Just thinking about just sore bollocks. Jesus Christ.
So what have I done?
I think he just had a big kick. Someone's just given him a big old kick.
Okay.
Cam says, special subject for me, wrestling nonsense. I mean, there's a lot. That's a lot of topic to cover. Shark Lager and Doctor Who mixed together.
Yeah.
King Pig Bladders, the laughing times of Dean Windass.
Dean Windass. That's quite niche.
And Scottish Danny, WCW limo counts. Or White Hummer counts as well.
Yeah, there you go. So there we are, Max.
I haven't finished.
We got some more. Oh, sorry, mate.
Cam says, honestly, King Pig Bladder, it's awful. I've got 2 catheters in. 2 catheters? 2? How many dicks have you got?
Is that like 1 in, 1 out? Like a cycle?
Who's putting piss into the penis?
If that doesn't get clipped, there's something wrong with the world.
He says it has also got a slice down his perineum and what has formed into a sole bollock that is the size of a tennis ball. Oh my
dear me.
And then King Pig Bladder says this is the winners apparently of the cheese rolling. Dave, Mary, Steve, Anne, Michael, Amy, Frank, Amy, Peter, no one won. I'm assuming not you, and Susan.
I can't say that's correct or not.
Neither can I. Dan says you guys can go and get fucked with the cane slander, you pair of twats. I mean, we're just saying it as we see it. We're just saying what the silent majority think. And King Peter says that sounds horrific. Cam, ouch, mucho, oucho. King Pig Badders. And then he says, when you have healed, will your bollocks have superpowers? Cam says they best do. Yeah, you'll be able to impregnate people from 50 paces with your mega sperm. Hopefully. Well, not hopefully, really. That'd be bad.
Not hopefully. That sounds like something you really want to see.
Dan says, what about Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes? You know what? I actually enjoyed those 2 films. I think they make the 3rd one. Oh, shock. Do you know who's in the first one? Kurgan. You remember the wrestler Kurgan?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, he's now an actor, and he's in the first Sherlock Holmes film. King Pig Banner says, from the 80s, Trapdoor was good. Yeah, that was the blue,
Yeah.
Play-Doh thing, weren't it? Yeah, that's
Won't
good.
you open that trap door?
Cam says, hasn't Millie Bobby Brown done a spin-off as well? And Henry Cavill is Sherlock. Yeah, is that where it's their sister Enola?
Okay. Was that on Netflix?
Yeah. The nearest
Right.
that Glenn says the nearest they've got to doing all the stories was Jeremy Brett playing Holmes and Edward Hardwick as Watson. So the OGs of the Sherlock Holmes stories. King Pigman says, yeah, it's Enola Holmes. Cam says, that's the Badger. Haven't watched it though. I think me and the missus have watched them on like a lazy Sunday. They're not bad, but again, not canon. Dan says he does have horrific retail stories, to be fair. And then Cam says, you have no idea. It's all meant to have worked, though. So I'm assuming this operation was a snippety doodah. It sounds a bit snippy.
I don't know.
I'm sure we'll get there. Dan says, I know how it was supposed to have worked. How it actually worked just happened to be very different. I don't understand what's going on here.
No, nor me.
King Pugbanner says Torchwood is brilliant. It's like Doctor Who with more sex and no doctor. And Dan says he's not a sexual predator or a gladiator. He's more of an amorphous blob of desperation and sadness. Oh, we're going to cry in this. And then King Pugbanner says, well, it took an hour, but the nonce talk is in full flow.
Yeah.
And again, who was it? Who brought it up? It was Sar. He blames me. We'll hear less of that, Sar. Cam says great books. He thinks that Inferno was his favorite. Mine is like one of the earliest ones, probably Deception Point, before they brought in the whole Professor Robert Langdon character. But I don't mind the Robert Langdon Dan Brown books. Sharon just gives you one word of advice: read. And Dan says, yes, sir, there were menus. You did read a menu from the Golden Yak.
Yak.
Sharon says she's read Da Vinci Code. It's a brilliant book. Sar's still not read hers. It's just you should hear the things he says about you, Sharon, in the pre-record. He's not a good husband. He is not a good husband.
You're so full of shit. You'll stop trying to stir the pot, Maxie. You're so full of shit.
Cam says, Sar, he'll message you later with the details of his operation if you want to know.
I think I'm good.
But he says, Google bulbar urethroplasty. No, we won't be Googling that. I am happy to be in the dark over your testicular issues, sir.
I think I'll give that a wide berth, I reckon.
I mean, if it's got bollocks the size of gratefuls, you're probably going to have to give it a wide berth.
Yeah, fair point. So there we go. That is the non-wrestling topic completed. Thank you so much to everyone who messaged the show, is in the chat, etc., etc., etc. But there we go. Magsy, we better talk a bit of wrestling, haven't we?
We better.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Oh, I need my notebook, wasn't I? Where's that gone? There it is.
Weren't it only literally last week that you forgot your notes? And Sharon
I left them downstairs. Yeah, Sharon had to bring them up to me. Yeah, I've got it here though. It's here. That's right there.
Okay.
See? With my pen. Right. Sharon in the chat saying he's likely bad mouthing me off to the hills. The tosser. Yeah. I love you too, Sharon. Oh dear. Magsy, you won a poll with this, didn't you? Yes, you did. This was your choice, wasn't it?
It was. Was it? Yeah.
So
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So you won another poll. We head to Armageddon 2000, the Hell in a Cell main event. It was a 6-man match for the WWF Championship. Kurt Angle versus Rikishi versus The Rock versus The Undertaker versus Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. What a list of talent that is.
I know. I mean, it's the who's who of wrestling in that time period. It's just elite level. I mean, even the one that you're dogging, Rikishi, still Hall of Famer. It's just absolute talent upon talent upon talent.
Yeah, without a doubt, mate. Without a doubt. This I pressed play at the start of the pay-per-view because me and Shai were actually eating our dinner when I watched it. So I let a lot of it play through before fast forwarding to actually watch the match for tonight's show. The open to this pay-per-view is glorious. Did you see it? The video
I did.
packaging that they put together?
I did. What I tend to do is to help with the context. I'll skip through parts of the show that that have some meaning to the main matches.
Mhm.
Each member of this match, each wrestler gets interview time, and there's a spot where Undertaker's actually in the cell and he's going through his history with Hell in a Cell matches, and those segments are glorious, and it really adds to how brutal that this match could be. They're all contemplating potential ends of careers, how this match could make them famous. It's the rest of the show it's all right. I mean, there's one probably decent match, but it's the rest of it is filler. But this main event it's huge, and it's so important to essentially the story of WWE at this time.
I suppose that's a risk that you take, isn't it? When you've got a roster of a certain size, and then you take your top 5 guys and another guy who's quite prominent in a big storyline, and you're trying to make him up to that level with the other 5, and put them in one match. It really takes away from because obviously I scanned through the undercard, and it is quite weak, isn't it, in comparison? Because you have took so much star power from this era, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. I mean, the rest of the card, it feels like TV level matches, but this match has got the elite of talent in it. I mean, aside from Rikishi, no one really thought Rikishi was going to win, but this is a match where any of the other 5 look like genuine world champions. The WWE were blessed in this era to have a main card group of talent that any one of these 5 guys legitimately could be the face of the company. It's just they were blessed with just so much talent at the top of the card.
You think as well where we go from this. This is December of 2000, so the next pay-per-view is the 2001 Royal Rumble, which is stacked, and it's one of the best Rumbles of all time. The No Way Out show in February is awesome, and then we go into possibly the greatest WrestleMania of all time, at WrestleMania 17, and then from there the Invasion begins. It's
just
quite
back to back of just talent, just amazing pay-per-views and talent, and then the flub that was the Invasion, but obviously that was a lot of that was out of WWE's hands. But it's just this whole period is just huge in the grand scheme of wrestling.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know you're going to hate this, but the champion doesn't come out last. We have effectively the heels out first, so Triple H is the first guy out, and we get the brilliant line from Jim Ross saying, "This is the first opponent, or is he the first victim?" Because the whole way through the show, every opportunity they're building up how dangerous this match potentially could be, and you've got the undercurrent as well of the commissioner Mick Foley putting this match together, but the owner Vince McMahon not wanting this match to take place because it is so dangerous, and he sees the wrestlers as financial assets, and any one of them could get hurt and affect his income, I suppose.
Yeah, and a lot of the video packages between this before this match are Vince trying to convince the wrestlers not to take part of it in it because they are financial investments for him. Him doing his best to convince Mick Foley to cancel the match. It just goes to they're making this match feel like a massive event. And as you said a little bit earlier, they kind of put all their eggs in one basket, and if this flops, this whole pay-per-view is an absolute washout. We're being told that we have to hurry up by Sharon because the Cowboys kick off.
Brilliant.
Sorry, they dance to our tune. Sharon,
They can wait for us. In fact,
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
that the Cowboys, they're in the dressing room now, probably watching us, so they won't come out and play until we're done.
Exactly. But yeah, this the whole show is done to make this feel like a massive event.
Yeah. I like Kurt Angle playing the kind of chicken shit, scared heel champion here. All of the baby faces, of course, are very brave walking in because that's what you want from your good guys, isn't it? None of them could look cowardly. Triple H is obviously the big macho guy as well. Rikishi coming out to that bad man entrance theme, which I think is pretty shit. I'm not gonna lie, but he's had a gimmick change as well. So Angle is playing the whole I don't want to get in the cell. I'm scared. I'm nervous. And then Stone Cold comes out last to the biggest pop by a mile in comparison to everyone else, even The Rock. Austin's pop is incredibly, on a different level, shall we say. He storms to the ring like he normally does, and then just makes a detour for Kurt Angle, who still hasn't got in the cage yet. And
everyone else is waiting.
all hell breaks loose.
A pussy.
And then everything just goes crazy.
Yeah, and we get kind of mini matches in between each match where, that tends to happen with multi-man matches. You'll see 2 wrestlers square off whilst the other 4 take a break. But what happens in the early part of this match is there'll be 2 guys in the ring, and then the other 4 are battling between themselves on the outside of the ring and using the cage as a weapon. And I thought that was everywhere you looked, there was some action going on, and that's really kind of engaging for the fans.
Yeah, I was going to mention that actually because it's something that we've criticised a great deal, isn't it, from multi-man matches in the past. And the observation you've made there, Maxie, early on is spot on the money for me. But I feel it does carry on throughout pretty much the whole match as well. Everyone. Obviously, there are certain spots that they have to get in. The production team and the cameramen are working hard to get certain spots on screen. But the other guys are still working when the cameras aren't necessarily on them, rather than having a lie down in the breather. And I just think it makes for such a difference. It's really refreshing,
Yeah, and I think that's because these were main event guys, and they knew that the rest of the locker room and the fans were looking at them. So they all had to be working for this match, and they all had their working boots on. Every single wrestler in this match had their working boots on, and it was just really well done. With a lot of multi-man matches, and especially with the kind of unknown factor of a cell, it can go very wrong very quickly, or matches are kind of like not in particularly booked, just get X amount of spots in, and a lot of it is more luck than judgment. But to be fair to this one, there weren't many times when I thought that things went wrong. It felt like it was a really well booked match, considering all the factors that could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it was very punchy kicky, and we had that last week with the multi-person match we looked at, and I wasn't a fan. But here, it really worked for me because it was just a wild brawl, and it would have been daft if people started busting out, arm drags and wrist locks or whatever in a Hell in a Cell environment, especially when there's 6 people involved.
Exactly. I mean, there's no point you trying to lock in an arm bar or lock in a sharpshooter when there's 4 other guys who's just going to come and beat the living shit out of you. You don't have the time to work somebody's arm or work the back. It's got to be high impact, get the wrestlers to the deck and try and get a pin as quick as possible.
Spot on. The Rock's choking Rikishi early on with a cable. And we get a conversation then about how dangerous this match is and has McMahon insured the wrestlers. And this I loved. I've never noticed it before. But Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler go back and forth about insurance with wrestlers and saying no one would be stupid enough to insure a Hell in a Cell match. And I think it's Jim Ross who comments back saying, well, Lloyds of London would.
Yeah.
They'd be stupid enough.
How many wrestlers milk the fuck out of Lloyds of London?
Dear me.
And then claimed that they retired because of their injuries, got the payout, and then, oh, I'm unretired. Yay.
Yeah. Indeed.
Snarty bastards.
They're all fighting on the outside of the cage here. All 6 guys are on the outside of the ring, but inside the cage. Triple H is the first one to be busted open. He gets his face rammed into the cage and then dragged across the cage by Austin, which is a brilliant spot, I think.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, props, and again, I'm going to say how great is Triple H having his working boots on, but he was literally dragged all the way around the ring, and it looked like he was grating his face. And there's even a spot where there's a wrestler in the way, so Austin just cuts that corner out and then goes straight back to dragging him around. Brilliant work, absolutely brilliant. And Triple H bleeds like a stuck pig. He has got a genuine crimson mask on.
Yes, indeed. Austin is trying to get Triple H into the ring then, because you can only win the match in the ring. He does, Rikishi drops a leg drop across his neck and picks Triple H up and gives him a hug, because obviously they're working together. But Triple H, being Triple H, kicks Rikishi in the gut, gives him a pedigree for a 2 count. It's just typical snake Triple H, isn't it, Max?
I mean, how often recently have we seen Triple H turn on the person helping him?
Yeah, he's a bastard.
It was always said to don't trust Austin, DTA. It should have been don't trust Hunter, because he will turn on you as soon as look at you.
Yeah, well done. I like the next segment of the match where everyone is trying to hit their finish, but when they make a cover, somebody comes over, drags that guy off and hits them with their finish, and they make a cover and then they get dragged off. It worked really well for me.
Yeah, I think the only person who doesn't do their finish is Rikishi. But yeah, it was very reminiscent of the last SmackDown before the invasion, where all the big stars came running out and hitting their finisher on someone. That was a really well done spot.
This is where Vince McMahon arrives. He's backing up a flatbed truck, ties the truck to the door, pulls the door off. Which obviously is a tool to get people out of the cage and so on. And then he tries to do a bit more and ties the chains to the wall of the cell. But before he can pull that down, Mick Foley's music hits. He comes out, nails Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe, and gets McMahon escorted away by security and the police and the like. And McMahon's brilliant here.
Yeah.
The facial expression.
I own this building.
Yeah, there you go.
I own the WWF. And then Jim Ross, you don't own the building, Vince. But yeah, it serves 2 purposes. One, like you said, to let the wrestlers out of the cage, and also as fodder for Rikishi later on. Because why would a team brought in to dismantle a cage need a truck full of kennel shavings? It's almost like they were there on purpose.
Maybe, mate. Maybe. Everyone exits the cage and fights down the entranceway, where there's a collection of scrap cars all led around. Quite a good entrance way, got a good look to the stage. I like it when they used to do these different looking Titantrons, different entrances for the pay-per-views. We've discussed them numerous times on the show. Austin gets a camera that's on a boom arm.
This is brilliant.
And
absolutely
Triple H with it. That is so good. And then we get the camera angle from the camera, don't we?
Yeah, it's so good. And again, Triple H selling it brilliantly. I mean, when he gets hit with the camera, he goes through the sunroof of the scrap car, and Triple H then is leaving his blood on pretty much every car that is coming into contact with. Yeah, I thought that the camera spot was absolutely superb.
Yeah, it was excellent. Austin, on his way back to the ring, though, gets his head ran through the window of the truck.
He does.
And that came out of nowhere and was the sound was quite dramatic as well. It was a proper, holy shit moment to me.
It didn't shatter like a car window would normally shatter. They shatter into like millions of little pieces. But this one didn't, and there was a massive chunk of, obviously it's going to be some sort of sugar glass, but a massive, jagged, sharp chunk of it just near Austin's arm, and it looked like it was almost going to cut his arm wide open. But yeah, that spot was brutal.
The Rock hits a rock bottom onto the car, or attempts to, go for a rock bottom on the car whilst we're still fighting back down that end of the entranceway.
Punch in the bollocks.
He does. He gets a low blow, and then he's pedigreed on the car instead. The Rock is now bleeding. Austin's now bleeding. Triple H is bleeding. Everyone's fucking bleeding all over the place.
Not everyone. Not everyone.
Rikishi is not bleeding.
Up to this point, I don't think Undertaker's bleeding. He's
Right, yep,
bleeding
okay.
later on when he gets waffled with a chair by Kurt Angle while sat down. So everyone's fighting on the outside, and they finally start making it back to the ring. And Angle and Undertaker are fighting near the commentary tables, and then Angle gets a chair, and Undertaker is sat down at the side of a commentary table, and he absolutely just blasts Undertaker clean in the head with the backrest of the chair. And yeah, that looked horrific. And later on in the match, when they're up on the top of the cage, he gets more than one receipt for it. Let's just say that.
Some of these chair shots are pretty brutal is one way of describing them, but knowing what we know now, some of them are a bit uncomfortable.
Highly unsafe, yes.
Yeah. Undertaker is now making use of the microphone cable as well. He chokes Kurt Angle with that. Again, there's more blood going around. And then we have Austin and Triple H being the first two to start making their way to the top of the cage, which, of course, naturally gets a big reaction from the fans. Austin drops down, though, runs around the other side, and climbs the other side of the cage, which I thought was brilliant because Triple H is looking for Austin and he's behind him. So simple.
And Triple H has escaped to get a rest. And you can see when he gets to the top of the cage, he's absolutely spent. The guy is absolutely knackered. And Austin, like I said, drops down, runs around, avoids getting involved with Angle and Undertaker, who are still battling away. And he climbs up the opposite side and stalks Triple H from the opposite side of the roof of the cage. Yeah. It's a really well done part of the match.
Kurt Angle and The Undertaker start making their way up as well. And eventually, Rikishi and The Rock are sort of half climbing the sides of the cage. Well, everyone's battling away with the view of being the roof of the cage now, Maxie, aren't they?
Apart from The Rock, who pushes out and does not get involved in all that rooftop shenanigans, not whatsoever.
Whilst we're watching The Rock and Rikishi fighting kind of in some kind of halfway house, not quite on the floor, not quite on the roof, and so on, we can see somebody, is it the timekeeper? Somebody on the side of the ring trying to throw a chair up to the Undertaker.
So that's the Undertaker. He's commandeered somebody to throw him a chair, and he misses the first time. You hear the chair clatter along the ringside, but then you hear the crowd pop, and Undertaker's caught the chair. And who's going to get those receipts? It's fucking Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle gets absolutely waffled with the chair a couple of times from the Undertaker. Then Undertaker lets the chair go, and Rikishi picks it up, and he waffles Taker and then Kurt Angle with it. It's absolutely, it's crazy. Like I said, knowing what we know about CT and head injuries, these guys were taking their lives into their hands with the force of these chair shots.
I suppose now we're coming up to the big moment that everyone remembers from this match, aren't we? Kurt Angle decides, my fucking head hurts, I'm going to go have a lie down back on the floor somewhere, and retreats.
He genuinely runs off. Rikishi's there stalking him with the chair, and he's like, fuck this noise, I am out of here. And like, bolts down the side. He was almost like a wrestler in SmackDown Know Your Role, where you get to the edge of the cage and you run down it. It was that quick.
Which leaves Rikishi, the Undertaker, on the top. Taker starts throwing some punches. Rikishi's backing up, teetering near the edge, being very careful to walk on the beams as well. Yeah, I noticed.
Because being 400 pounds, if he walked on the chain, he's going through it easily. Yeah. That chain is not holding his weight, so he tiptoes like a ballerina or like a gymnast across those beams.
Exactly.
He's very nimble, is old Rikishi.
Eventually, he gets to the edge of the cell. The Undertaker throws another punch, then another, and then choke slams him.
Well, I mean, is it a choke slam or he grabs him by the throat, with the intentions of going with the choke slam. But if you think of the dynamics of a choke slam, Undertaker has to go forward to throw the wrestler to the floor. Undertaker ain't doing that shit. This is not Undertaker's spot. So he literally he's in the position of a choke slam and then just pushes Rikishi.
Gives him a little shove.
And Rikishi just dead weight. And the camera angles that they got of this, I mean, they clearly knew that this was going to be the spot that everyone remembers. You get a camera underneath Rikishi and you see his dimply arse coming towards the camera, and that he splatters into this like shit wood shavings, and then there's like a long range angle. Oh, it's so good. You get the slow-mo and the puff of shavings going up, and Rikishi sells it like a champ. He's doing the whole lip wobbling like is mad. I'm dead here spot. It's so well done by Rikishi, and how brave of him to do it.
Well, the thing that gets me is obviously falling from that great height onto your back, and that's terrible, and so on. Of course, that would be scary enough. But the thing that gets me about afterwards is obviously all these wood shavings, sawdust stuff. A lot of it's gone boof up in the air when he lands. Some of it is stuck to the sweat around his eyes. I couldn't handle that, mate. I know he's not allowed to move, but I'd be trying to get that shit off my face. That would drive me mad.
And one other thing as well, just to show how risky this spot is. Normally, when you take a back bump, you spread your arms to kind of like spread the impact. He can't do that in this because he's got to land on a very small flatbed, so his arms are essentially tucked in. So his back's taking the full impact of this bollocks. Wow. What a brave guy at his size to do that. I couldn't do it. I could not have done that. But what a great spot.
I don't like heights, so I've never even got it there.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I mean, heights don't bother me that much, but nah, that's horrific. Yeah.
We then get one of the cool Austin and Rock face-off moments. Yeah. It's great when we see like the Rumble in 2001 and all this sort of stuff, and they start beating the crap out of each other. Eventually, the Rock hits a clumsy-ish looking spine buster, but it still worked for me before going for the People's Elbow. Triple H breaks that up. Kurt Angle then runs into the ring to the straightaway eat a rock bottom. Yeah. Literally just runs right
Kurt
into
Angle, the rock. I've always been impressed with how Kurt Angle takes a rock bottom as well, because he tucks his legs and knees up, so he's taking the full force of it. Yeah, and they really made Angle look like the luckiest son of a bitch alive in this match, because he's the only wrestler that doesn't hit their finisher at all in this match. He doesn't hit it once, and yet comes away to the finish.
Indeed. Well, we're basically there now, aren't we? Like I said, Kurt Angle runs into a rock bottom. Austin makes the save on 2, though. Austin picks up the Rock to hit him with a stunner. And then as he wants to go and cover the Rock's out. He's been hit with a stunner. Triple H comes into the ring and gives Austin a neck breaker. Whilst they're both recovering from that, past them, they're in the foreground, past them by the ropes, we see Angle just manage to get his hand on the Rock.
And the thing with the net breaker on Austin from Hunter was he was basically avoiding a stunner. He got kicked in the stomach, ready for the stunner, and he'd essentially reversed it and turned it into a neck breaker. So that was a really good spot. And when Austin had interrupted the Rock's pin, he waffles the Rock square in the face with a full-on punch. It's absolutely brilliant. There's absolutely no love lost. But you're right. You essentially Angle capitalizes on all these wrestlers hitting their finishers, and he sneaks in and gets the pin on the Rock. I mean, for the Rock to take that pin as well, absolutely amazing.
There we go. And that's that. Well, Austin gets a stunner in just for good measure at the end. But
it's Austin got it. Austin at this point. He was the biggest star, so get him to pause. But the final camera shot is of Kurt Angle laid out, Triple H laid out, The Rock laid out, Kurt Angle with the belt essentially laid over all over his waist, and Austin cheering and the crowd going absolutely mental. It's a brilliant end to a pay-per-view.
So there we go, Bugsy. Out of 10, what are you thinking?
I thought this match was carnage. I thought this match was brutal. The fact that 5 out of the 6 wrestlers ended up bleeding, I thought that really added to just how important this match was. It was just crazy bullshit, but so good to watch. As I've said before, every motherfucker in this match had their working boots on. No one pulled it in. Nobody phoned the match in. It was absolutely entertaining from minute one. It's brilliant, and I think it's an easy 8.5.
Okay. I've got 8.
But you are a
I
negative
had fun.
Nancy, though, aren't you?
Well, yeah, apparently I am. I had fun, mate. I thought it was a great brawl. There's never any wasted motion. There's never any moments where you're thinking, okay, I need something to happen now, because there is always something happening. But I think the way it was structured, you don't feel like you miss anything, because Austin might be battling Triple H over in the corner, but they're just having a bit of a brawl. And the production team know to cut to Undertaker for this particular spot or whatever. I think it was structured really well. The star power in this match, unbelievable. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, mate. So 8 for me.
I mean, I understand it. I mean, it's never going to be a match of the year.
No.
It wasn't technically brilliant, but there is spot after spot. There is brutality after brutality. I think it was a really solid match, and it saved a very poor pay-per-view.
There we go. Where would you like to go next, Max, if your selection wins?
Okay, so I actually thought my selection would have been picked before, but after scrolling through the Excel document that you have put together, I don't think it has. So for me, this is one of Rikishi's career-defining moments.
Yeah.
And he's had a few. I mean, the whole "I did it for The Rock," winning the Intercontinental title. But for me, he's got 2 standout moments. This, where he takes the fall off the cage, and when he and his 2 cool homies, Scotty 2 Hotty and Brian Christopher, are dancing in the middle of the Royal Rumble. So I want to go and watch that particular Royal Rumble, the 2000 Royal Rumble.
Surely we've covered that.
I haven't. We've covered Triple H versus Cactus Jack from that pay-per-view, and I was almost sure that we have covered it, but going all the way through that Excel file, we have not covered this match.
Hang on. We've covered the pay-per-view after that with the fallout from the Rumble, and we spoke a bit about Big Show and The Rock, and so that might be where I'm getting confused. The actual Rumble itself, I think you're right, Magsy.
So that's where I would like to go. The 2000 Royal Rumble.
See, Rumbles always do well in the polls. Rumbles always do well, mate.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a Rumble. A hit Rumble is still a good watch.
Yeah, I'm going to get beat in the poll again, I think. I am sticking with the Armageddon pay-per-view as my link. I would like to look at the main event from a few years later, an era that is really interesting for me because you've got a guy who had not long made the main event picture in Eddie Guerrero, working his absolute bollocks off to make JBL a main eventer as well. And then the main event of Armageddon 2004, it's a multi-man match again. We've got 2 more stars thrown into the mix. We've got Booker T and The Undertaker as well. So a fatal 4-way for the WWE, it would have been then, wouldn't it? WWE Championship in 2004. The Armageddon main event, we have JBL versus Eddie Guerrero versus Booker T versus The Undertaker.
I mean, that's 2 picks that the CWF can't go wrong with.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember masses about it. I'm not gonna lie. I just
Well,
go
it's got
through
Eddie Guerrero.
Armageddon cards and well, there you go. Yeah. There you go.
It's always going to be a winner.
There you go. So those are your options for the poll this week. We have the Royal Rumble match from 2000. Was that Madison Square Garden? It was, wasn't it?
I think so. It was the short entrance,
Yeah.
isn't it? So.
Yeah, that's it. Or we have the main event from Armageddon 2004, where JBL takes on The Undertaker, Booker T, and Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship. The poll will be up later in the week. Make sure you're voting, retweeting, and all that good stuff. Because as we always say, you decide what we cover on this show. What we look at is up to you. This is your show. So make sure you're voting. Make sure you take that opportunity. Mugsy, shall we scan through the chat before we have a little look at how much of a liar Hulk Hogan has been?
Yes, we shall. So where did we get up to? We've done all the Dan Brown stuff. My God. So we've got actually Steve-O in the chat. He's put
Hey, Steve-O.
Say hi, but I've seen this match a few times. I remember it being live on Channel 4 and being really disappointed. Watched it during my era history, and again, didn't particularly enjoy. From what I vaguely remember, there is too much going on for the cameras to keep up with. You know, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that was an issue. And you mentioned it earlier about if there was something going on, a brawl in one corner, the camera were caught the big spot. So I don't know if I particularly agree with that. He said this was also a period where WWE was really poor storyline wise, but picks up in 2001. I get that, and I think it's a good point to say that this was kind of like an eggs all in one basket kind of match.
Oh yeah.
But I think they pulled it off. Graham from Good Cop Bad Cop says, sorry for my latest, guys. Was recording with dying format. We'll head back to the start and catch up at times 2. You are a star. Dan Griffin says, it's certainly what a unique way to test the suspension of a truck. And then Dan says, my pick is the Taka Michinoku Brain Hemorrhage Rumble. Yeah, that is amazing.
With a thing and splat.
Where Kai and Tar keep entering the match and keep getting thrown out. And then King Pig Badder says, happy birthday, Hulk Hogan, you old racist bastard. Is it Hogan's birthday today? Couldn't give a toss. Dan Griffin then says, he tried to listen both times, but still missed our pick. One more time, please.
It is the main event from Armageddon 2004. It's JBL versus The Undertaker versus Booker T versus Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title.
There you go.
There we go. So, shall we check out what the orange one's been spiting?
Let's do it.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Liar, liar, pants on fire, hanging from a telephone wire. Squirming, pants are burning. When I lie, my hips start turning.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Look, man, I made a mistake.
What do you got for us, Magsy?
So, according to Hulk Hogan, he parted with John Belushi after WrestleMania 2.
Okay.
WrestleMania 2 was in 1986, as we all know. John Belushi passed away in 1982. So, don't think you did, you lying cunt.
See, those ones are brilliant. It's just such shit that comes out of his mouth.
I know, and so easily like confirmed or fact checked. Lying bastard. Why? Why lie? Prick.
Do you ever think do you think he genuinely believes these things, or?
I think he's got to a point where he thinks that they're either true or that no one will ever pull him for his lies, or he doesn't engage his brain before the words come out of his mouth.
Why? What an absolute numpty.
Either way, he's a lying wanker.
He is indeed.
And I hope he has a shit birthday. I hope someone pisses on his birthday cake.
Pisses on his birthday cake. Yep, righto. Magsy, we got a couple more in the chat there, I think. Oh no, it's just Dan Griffin saying thank you for the pick for the poll.
And we've also got Sharon giving you the eyes, presumably because the Cowboys are losing already.
No, they don't kick off for another 6 minutes. So we've timed this spot on, mate, haven't we?
I was merely jesting.
Jesting. Fair enough. I think it's 6 minutes. I think it's 5:30 they kick. I could be completely wrong. It might be 1:15. I'm not sure. But either way, I think we've done well.
Professional enough that we are using our time wisely.
Sort of. Magsy, do you want to let everyone know whereabouts they can find your good self online?
Down here, Pod Farmer Mags on TikTok, where you'll probably catch me more than you will ever catch me on x.com, which is Pod Farmer Mags. If you like chickens and you like veg, come and check me out. I'm a big star on TikTok.
Do you ever get a chicken and put it in the hot tub?
Do you know, so many times I've been tempted to see if the chickens would like the hot tub, but
I don't think they would.
They've got very weird claws, and I think they would burst the hot tub.
Oh yeah, you don't want to risk that. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, fair point.
But I have been tempted.
Anything I'm involved in, you can find via the network that carries this show. So that's at SJP World Media on YouTube, X, Facebook, Spotify, everywhere, all over the place. SJP World Media. So many podcasts, live shows, so much going on. Too much to cover, really. Covering TV, music, film, football with the volley lads coming back very, very soon. So much going on. More wrestling content as well. Loads of stuff that Tyler's doing for us. So make sure you're following, subscribing, etc., all of that stuff at SJP World Media. But most importantly, you can find and follow this show itself and get involved in the non-wrestling topic and, of course, voting in the poll. That's at @chain_wrestling on Twitter or Facebook. Good cop, bad cop there in the chat saying only over an hour behind. Did Brother Devon's plan work or did he come up empty?
Amazing.
Brilliant. I need to read these before actually reading them out, I think.
Well played, Graham. Well played.
On that note, we are done. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here on a Sunday night. A little shift around, which we tend to do in August pretty much every year because of family holidays and whatnot. But thank you for joining us on the Sunday. As I said, the poll and all that stuff will be out later in the week. The audio version I'm going to try and get out as soon as possible as well. So make sure you're checking all that out, subscribing, and so on. But yeah, Maxie, that's it, mate. So I'm off now to go and have a shower because I'm sweaty and I smell. I'll speak to you next week, my friend.
Barry Windham enjoyed a Farouk backstage.